Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. Today, Trena Little is here to talk about YouTube and video content for your business. Now, Trena and I met at Creative at Heart back in November 2018 and hit it off again at the round 9 of Creative at Heart in June 2019. She is a dear friend of mine in the industry and is also someone who's told me that I should add video into my business time and time again. And you guys, she is no dummy and knows that it can really help scale businesses. I've been a little nervous to get video and YouTube rolling into my biz, so I thought what better way than to have an honest conversation about starting up more video content as an online business owner than to have Trena and I chat and let you listen in. I am here to ask all the important questions that are probably racing around in your mind too, so you better believe that this is an episode you don't want to miss. You're listening to the Legal Paige podcast, where we chat about life and business with a legal twist. I'm Paige, attorney and photographer helping online businesses and creatives tackle their business dreams without breaking out in hives. No more legal mumbo jumbo. This podcast features simple, bite-sized advice that'll have you legally legit in no time. Are you ready? Let's get started. Now, here's a little more info about Trena before we get started. Trena helps creative business owners find the confidence to be on video. She believes every business owner deserves to be the face of their business, so she provides them support by teaching the tech, mindset, and strategy on how to use video content to grow your business. She also knows we are limited on the number of hours that we have in a day, so she focuses on how to multiply your video content reach to get the biggest bang for your buck. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get to this episode, Legal Pagers. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the Legal Paige podcast today. I am so excited that my friend Trena Little is here to talk about YouTube and video content. Hey Trena.
Hi Paige.
I adore Trena. I know her very, very well. Over the past year, we've gotten to know each other even better through the Creative at Heart conference and through a lot of mutual industry friends. So Trena, I gave, of course, a intro at the beginning of this episode with your really professional bio, but I would like you in your own words to tell everyone tuning in today just who you are, what you do, why you do it, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Trena, and my basic goal is to help business owners find the confidence to be the face of their business. In the online world, our face is really our primary commodity because we have to get people to know, like, and trust us. And without putting ourselves out there, our voice through podcasts or our face, it's really hard to gap that trust factor with our audience. And so for me, my primary goal, like I said, is to just help business owners get that confidence, whether it's the mindset confidence, whether it's the confidence to figure out all the tech stuff or what to say on video, or the confidence to know what videos should you even be creating that's going to make you money. And so that's primarily where I focus. I generally love to work with women because I understand those insecurities best. It's a little bit different. I mean, I love the dudes out there, but it's a little bit different for females where whether you've had kids or maybe you gained weight or maybe you're getting grayer hair. And we just have these insecurities as women that society kind of pushes on us. And so I just want to be that person to help basically be in your back pocket to cheer you on and tell you you are good enough to be the face of your business.
Yeah, you're such a guru with all things video and being the face of your business. And I'm so glad you're here to talk with everyone and really share your best tips and tricks. But I have a couple questions before we get into that. So Trena, when did you first start with YouTube and video content?
Yeah, so I kind of got down the rabbit hole of YouTube. I believe it was in 2014. I had got pregnant for the first time, and I was the first of my friends to be pregnant. And so I was doing the research stuff, what's going on, what's happening with my body, and got on YouTube. And at the time, they weren't called vloggers, but it was a lot of other women sharing their experience, like week 32, week 33, what was going on. I was like, holy cow, this girl that I am watching, I don't know who she is. I've never met her. And the particular girl that I watched religiously, I still have never met her, but I was ready to buy anything she recommended to me because I trusted her. I felt like this girl knows what she's talking about. I totally relate. And so being somebody that has a business degree in marketing and a master's degree in business, I started to realize, wow, this video on YouTube makes so much sense in marketing. And then I started digging into like businesses and seeing who was using YouTube back in 2014. And there were no major businesses using YouTube. And I thought, holy cow, this is a totally missed opportunity. And so that's kind of how I started falling down the rabbit hole of YouTube. And the one other thing is I realized there was community on YouTube. I think I was one of the first business owners to really see YouTube as a social platform. I was connecting in the comments with other moms, and we were exchanging advice and tips and support to each other within the comments of YouTube. And so I just realized the power this platform was really going to have to build a business online.
That's super awesome that YouTube can be this social media platform that people don't really like comprehend that it could be.
Yeah.
And I know lots of people tuning in are always like, the question I've had for you a couple times, so I'm just going to ask that first, is like, is YouTube dead? Like lots of us just think YouTube is for like, I don't know what you would call that, like the YouTubers. I don't know how else to phrase it. But it's really hard for a lot of us as either creative entrepreneurs or, you know, professional entrepreneurs that are hosting some type of like virtual platform online. You know, there's lots of nutritionists and attorneys and doctors nowadays that are online. And then, of course, like creative entrepreneurs, not only in the wedding industry, but in the creative industry as well. I think for everyone there, it's really hard to get away from Instagram and Facebook. And what's your answer? Like, why is YouTube so important to add as a value asset to your business?
I mean, the biggest asset of YouTube, and it remains true, is the searchability. So many people say, well, Trina, my audience is on YouTube. Okay, maybe they're not, but they are probably searching something on YouTube. Say they have on Google, because Google owns YouTube. So say they have a legal problem, they're probably going to search on YouTube. I keep saying YouTube because that's where my head is. They're probably going to search on Google that particular problem they're having. They're not going to search a hashtag on Instagram or scroll through Facebook to get that problem solved. And the same when you're planning a wedding, while Instagram and Pinterest are great for weddings, people are also probably thinking how to plan a budget for my wedding. They are probably typing that into Google and finding that as well. And the power of YouTube is those videos are more powerful to Google than blog posts and imagery. And so those videos can rank at the very top of Google. And so if you've been trying to get in Google, like front page, second page, third page, just with your blog post, video and YouTube specifically will definitely jack up your searchability on Google.
Yeah, we all completely underestimate Googling. It's like this one thing that we forget. I don't know why, but we always forget. We're like, oh yeah, SEO on our websites and like Instagram and Facebook and email marketing. But then I think everyone forgets the one thing that most lay people do, which is they go to Google and they start Googling because now it's a verb. So yeah, like it's definitely the way that it's connected. Of course, Google owns YouTube. That makes so much sense. Okay, so we need to add it in. I think the hardest part for people is like how we do this. So I would love for you to kind of just jump in to your teaching topic today and why YouTube needs to be the hub of your content and how people can do that.
Right. And the one thing that I want to kind of add a caveat here is that sometimes we get so wrapped up on, I need to focus on growing my Instagram followers. I need to focus now on YouTube and getting subscribers. But the subscribers and the followers aren't paying your bills and aren't putting revenue in your bank. And so before you start getting stressed out over, oh crap, I need to start a new platform, this is so overwhelming, that's not what you're focusing here on. You're focusing on creating valuable content that your audience can find no matter what platform they prefer. You want to come to them and serve them with valuable content on their platform. And so the way I like to think about it is I use YouTube as kind of my hub content. This is kind of like where my content rests. Kind of if you look at a triangle, this is at the very top peak of the triangle. And I'm going to tell you how we fill out the rest of the triangle as well. But YouTube is my hub content because once you post this content on YouTube, it lives there forever. And I know that's scary, but I have videos from 2015 that are really cringy, but they are constantly getting traffic and they're constantly getting me new email subscribers every single day that ultimately go down my funnel. And it's all because of the quality content I created almost 5 years ago, living on YouTube, being valuable content that YouTube keeps serving the people. And I'm not focusing on, I need to grow more subscribers. I need to grow more subscribers. I'm focusing on valuable content.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. And I think the issue with most people and I feel like it's just like this brain fart moment that most of us have is Instagram's really shiny. And I think YouTube it's like daunting for people. So how can people get rid of that, heebie-jeebie YouTube factor that most people have? Because even myself and you and I have had this conversation. So I'm sure some people listening feel this way as well, is I get Instagram and I get Facebook, but YouTube, I'm just really confused about. And I'm like, how do I even get started? How often do I need to do this? How much time do I need to take out of my weekly schedule to budget for Instagram planning and content? And yeah, how can we just dispel that?
Right. And so this is something I have been really focusing on. We've talked about it multiple times. And after talking to the last Creative at Heart, I came back home and I sat down and thought, okay, what can we really do to make this doable for people? So I really started tracking how I did everything, how much time I spent on everything, because so many people think, oh, it's so much work, it's going to be something extra. Well, I've actually found as I sat down and tracked everything that I was doing, I'm able to get out more content to more platforms by using this strategy. And so the strategy that I use is I will plan out my YouTube content. And from there, it takes me about 3 days totally to have a month's worth of content done. And I'm talking about newsletter, blog content, Facebook content, Instagram content, Snapchat content, if you're still on Snapchat, because I will work on my hub piece of content and I will write that out as my script. I know there's some issues on people who like to write scripts and not, but that's a different issue. So I will write out my script as a blog post. And then I will film that video. I will pull pieces of that script for my newsletter content. I'll pull pieces of that clip for my Instagram content. I will pull clips of that video to Instagram stories. I will just take that video, upload it to Facebook, take that video, upload it to Instagram TV. And now I have this content that I can filter out throughout the week. And I'm not stressing over sending people to YouTube, because once I talked to you, Paige, I was like, this makes total sense. That's where the whole thing came in mind. We are not focused on growing subscribers on YouTube. We're focused on leveraging the content that we're creating to get in front of those right people. And those people, our target audience, isn't always hanging out on one spot. And that's fine. Let's take the content to them. Let's take the most powerful piece of content, which is video, to them. And so I started taking that YouTube video across all of the platforms and piecemealing it out throughout the week so that I consistently have content, but I was doing less work.
That's awesome. Then I'm thinking, okay, but what if lots of us I'm not like terrified of being in front of the camera necessarily. Like I'm fine with doing that. I think it's just like the stress of recording the videos. So I'm just like going to ask you all these questions because I'm sure tons of people are thinking this as well. Like we all want to add YouTube in. It sounds like a really good thing to add in. I'm sure you're going to tell us all these reasons why. Of course, you've told us a few already, but okay, let's just go to like the basics. So we like plan our content out. I think we all can do that because we do it already for the, all of these other platforms that we host our virtual business on. So how do we record them? Like what's a really simple way to just start recording now?
Yeah, so many people, especially us that are doing webinars and online things already like podcasts, we usually have a webcam, whether I use the Logitech C920, and that is a perfectly great place to start filming your videos. We have cell phones nowadays that the camera is perfectly okay to start with. What's going to make or break your camera quality, which Paige probably knows as a photographer as well, is lighting. And so what you use for your camera, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you've got a good lighting source, whether that's free lighting like your window that you sit in front of. There's some very cheap options like going to Home Depot or Lowe's or even on Amazon and buying like daylight balanced light bulbs and just putting them in your overhead light instead of the normal yellow tinted light. And that's where you can get started. So many of us worry about, well, what does my background look like? It's not professional. It doesn't look pretty. And I kind of debunked this whole myth. We had sold our house a few years ago really quick by accident, and we got shoved into this tiny apartment while we built a new house. And the only place I could film was this little corner in this master bedroom that they called, but it was a disaster. And it was just this yellow tinty, like the previous renter was a smoker, and so it had like that yellow tint to it. And I just shot my content in front of a blank wall, but I focused on sharing valuable content, getting my audience the answer to their questions. And I was able to not only grow my YouTube channel, but also get more clients. I think that year I increased my revenue by 300%. And a lot of that traffic was coming from YouTube, and I was just sitting in front of a blank, ugly wall. And so we get so wrapped up on all these little pieces that don't necessarily matter, when all that matters is making sure you're helping your target audience get through a pain point or through a struggle that they're having.
Yeah, so helpful. I think you hit the nail on the head there. We all are really into pretty things because that's what this like virtual world has created for us. And we think that is why we are attracting potential clients to us. But you just completely flipped that on its head and you said, no, it's like the actual quality of the content that you're giving, like what is in the meat of the content. Nobody really cares about what background you have. I mean, over time, I'm sure you're going to get better and better and you're going to care more about how that looks to people. But to start, you're like, use your webcam, use your cell phone. And I am here to say as well, like those sometimes are better quality than like a manual camera that's like a professional camera, because those are even more complicated to use. So I love that. Okay, so then we can record them. We have figured out how to record them, but how do we edit them and then like export? Like what's the simplest way for us to do that?
Yeah, that's so funny. We were talking before we got on here that I just filmed my content for the month, and super easy editing hacks or something is a video I shot today. And so it actually, to make editing simpler for you, it actually starts before you even film your video, because what happens is if we don't go into our video with a game plan, we end up shooting this massive video.
Yes.
So probably like a 40-minute raw footage video. And so you have to sit through that. And so to start saving time editing, you have to have a plan or a script before you even start shooting to make sure you can minimize that raw footage that you have to go through. And so many people think we have to create this epic video, but you just want to make sure whatever you share in that video, your audience can take action after that so they can see an instant win and build that trust with them. And so the first way for editing, if we pull back to editing, is to have that video plan. So you're minimizing the amount of time you're filming in that raw footage, and then creating templates. And so I have templates. I show in this video that I did today, I'm showing it in iMovie because iMovie is free on most Mac products. I currently use Final Cut Pro, and PC users, Adobe obviously works, and then Camtasia. But I create these templates in there that one is templated for YouTube, so 1280 by 720. One is templated for Facebook, which is a square with like little borders up top, so that you can have the title so that it stands out a little bit more on Facebook. One is templated for Instagram stories. One is templated for IGTV. So once you edit that YouTube video, then all you have to do is take that clip, that video, copy it, and paste it into those other templates that you have. And there are other things to make a lot of things easier with editing. So again, with your templates, you're going to set up your fonts and your colors and find the right text animation that you want. Once you sit down and do it for one video, it's so much easier to just copy and paste in your next video and your next video and your next video.
Gotcha. Okay. So iMovie is a really good place to start. You can use like Adobe. I think that's what, like Premiere. Is that what it's called?
Adobe Premiere. And there's like a Spark, or there's a kind of like a training wheels one as well. I can't pull the name out right now, but there's like an Adobe Premiere training wheel type software.
Awesome. And I know Filmora is really good too. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's like simple, kind of like iMovie. Yeah. So you said there, you don't want to make them too long. So what's like the sweet spot for YouTube? Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you have any suggestions on like sweet spot for exporting those in other ways too, because I know that you recycle your content.
Yeah, there's no sweet spot. You just want to make sure that, again, you're providing value. You don't want to add fluff in these videos. You want to think about why your potential target audience, your potential client would be coming to that video. Think about what the title is going to be. What would cause them to click on that video? What would cause them to watch that video on IGTV? What would cause them to watch it on Facebook? And just make sure you're delivering on that. If it's best for you to just get started with video and think, okay, I just want to create like a 4 or 5 minute video just to get comfortable, that's all you really need. I mean, I've been doing 4 to 5 minute videos for years. When I started on YouTube in 2015, I was doing 1 minute tips. I decided that was going to be my thing. I was on 1 minute video tips. And that's how I got started getting comfortable on camera and getting used to uploading and doing all of that and getting my process in place. And it was just 1 minute videos.
Yeah, that's incredibly doable for most people. So yeah, take Trena's advice, you guys, like 4 to 5 minutes you can do, but you could also just do like 1 minute tips, 90-second tips. Like, don't overcomplicate this.
No.
So what are the 3 types of video content that every business owner needs?
Yeah, so I like to refer to the acronym TECH, since we are so afraid of tech most of the time when it comes to video, but it's TEC, so we're not adding the H. You're going to teach, you're going to engage, and you're going to have a call to action. And so your teach videos are basically what it sounds like. You're going to teach them something, whether it's tutorials, advice, tips. You just really want to give them valuable in your teach videos. These videos are going to be great for YouTube because this is how you're going to get organic reach from Google and YouTube, because these are the topics people are searching to get resolved, like how to edit videos, how to plan a wedding budget, how to write a contract. Like these are the very first questions people have that you can start growing organically in Google and in YouTube. But it's also going to be great content for you across the board because your audience that's already following you is probably like, oh yeah, I need to know that too. So your teach videos are your primary videos that are going to help you build a new audience by using organic reach on YouTube. And again, you're going to repurpose them across all of your content.
Oh, my question to that is, do you do that in every single video? Like, are we always having a call to action at the end of every video, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's going to be up to you what your goals are going to be. For me, obviously, I'm on YouTube, and while I am inclined to get people into my email list, and I have a strategy for that, for me on YouTube right now, my teach videos are generally pushing people to another video, because if you get down into the nitty gritty of YouTube likes watch time and binge sessions. And that's more of a YouTube strategy for somebody whose goal is to start really building out a YouTube channel. But for most business owners, we just want to leverage the visibility of our video. And so you may say in your teach videos to grab your freebie. That's going to how you're building your email list. So that's up to you. Again, it's going to be dependent where your business is and what your goals are with your video. But again, that's where your call to actions are going to differ, whether it is to grow a platform or if it's to grow your email list.
Okay. And then how are we multiplying the visibility of these videos?
Yep. So then you're going to take that video, upload it to YouTube. Again, if you're not focused on growing a YouTube channel at this time, that's fine. You can still get views and leverage and growth on YouTube by uploading those videos, adding the thumbnails, and then taking that video, formatting it for Facebook and uploading that entire video on your Facebook page. You're also going to have content now to send to your newsletter. So maybe you tell them, if you'd rather watch the video version, click here. Otherwise, and then email them what you would normally write in text, because if your audience prefers text, right there. Then you're going to create that blog post, and you're going to do the same thing on your blog post and say, if you prefer the video version, watch below, and you're embedding that YouTube video right into your blog post. You're also uploading it to IGTV. You may be taking clips of it and uploading it to Instagram stories, or it's the topic that you're talking about on Instagram stories. And you can tell them, hey, watch the full video on IGTV if they're already in the platform. And so that's how you're starting to multiply this. And it doesn't all have to come out in one day. You can make sure you have content for the week by saying, Monday, I post the YouTube video. Tuesday, I send the newsletter. Wednesday, the blog post goes live. Thursday, I talk about it on Instagram. Friday, the Facebook video goes live. And now you have content scheduled across all of your platforms with just one video.
You just gave everyone a boatload of information. That was so helpful. And you gave us all a weekly content calendar for planning purposes. You are a genius, and I love this. I know tons of people are going to have questions, more questions. We could go on and on, Trena, but I don't want to overwhelm people. I'm sure everyone's probably rolling around in their head right now that they definitely need to start thinking about YouTube. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, yeah, I need to be doing that right now. So I will make sure that people, of course, we're going to link to you and everyone can come and ask you questions and get in. I know you have tons of really good free resources. And I know you have a membership site that people can join too. So, but before we get to that, of course, the Legal Paige podcast. I cannot help myself. I love talking about legal stuff. And your business in particular is interesting because you're doing something very different than what other people are doing. You're like a YouTube manager and also teaching people how to use YouTube. So what are some big legal lessons you've learned through your YouTube business over the years?
Yeah. So one of the biggest ones was having contracts for my clients, some type of form of contract in place just to kind of protect me when my client doesn't want to pay. It was kind of my first foray into online business when I got, it was my second client, and she was like, I want to hire you. I want to work with you right now. Da, 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 da. And I did a call with her, and I started working. And then all of a sudden she was like, this isn't going to work. I don't want to pay. And I was like, well, excuse me? And I come from a marketing world and public relations world where, I didn't really know the thing to do with contracts. And so it was through PayPal too at the time. And so, you know how PayPal always favors the person who pays. Is that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Not the business. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically that money was gone. And I was so excited. Luckily I didn't go out and spend the money, but it was still kind of I already started helping you, and I had already accounted for your income, and I don't have any way to protect myself because I didn't have a contract in place that clearly laid out here's the policy, here's what happens, here's the penalties. And that was my second client of my business.
Yeah, at least you learned early on, because then you were like, okay, I need all these clauses in place. So the big lesson here for most people that are tuning in is you want to reserve the right to collect on any unpaid amount that someone is arguing they don't owe you. So that's just a reservation of rights to send them to collections. And now Trena has that. So anyway, if any of you are in those situations, of course, you want to just lay out your fee structure clause, termination clause, and then some type of collection of costs. You can put that in one of those clauses, or that's something you definitely want to look into. So that's really helpful, Trena. Anything else? Any other big legal lessons?
Yeah, the other one that I had, so for a while, I was basically working for a major YouTube educator as kind of his strategist and helping build his business. And I just had to be careful, like what the non-compete said. So like if I decided to, once our time was up, no longer work with him, how would that affect my business? Like, was I going to be able to build my business? Like, I wanted to make sure there was no wrongdoing with like client crossing. And so just knowing like what's the non-compete, what is in the contract you sign when you're working with a larger client, when it comes to when your time is over with them, I had to really understand that to make sure it would not affect the growth of my business down the road when we decided to part ways.
So helpful and extremely important. So anyone out there who's like contracting for larger companies, it's really, really, really in your best interest to have an attorney look over that non-compete, and in addition, the entire like agreement that you're signing with this bigger company, because you just want to know like where you're at before you get into that relationship. Because often what happens, and Trena, you're not the only one. I've had a couple clients reach out to me and they're like, I want to do something, but I'm pretty sure I'm locked in with this non-compete. How can I get around it? And that is the point you don't want to get into. So you don't want to have that situation happen in the future. You can negotiate things in advance. And so Trena, I love that you pointed that out. And some people just don't know. They're like, oh my gosh, I have no rights here. I just have to sign my life away with a non-compete and whatever this huge company sends me in this massive contract that I have no idea what it says. So it would behoove you, if you're in that situation, and lots of people tuning in are contracting for other businesses, whether they're, medium-sized business, established businesses, or huge corporations. And at that point, spend the extra couple $100s and have an attorney look it over for you. And you can, of course, negotiate certain terms so that you can, like Trena said, she wants to make sure that it didn't affect the growth of her own business, and something that was her end goal. So super helpful, Trena. I love those legal lessons. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I would love it if you just ended and told everyone like a quick tip that you could leave them all with this YouTube episode.
Yeah. My quick tip is always just get started with video. Your first videos are going to suck. I have my oldest videos up on YouTube. Like, you can go to my oldest videos. I tell people a lot of the times, if there are people that they admire on Instagram or on YouTube, go back to their very first things and see where they started. We get so wrapped up as seeing people where they're maybe at like step 8 or 9, when we forget where they were at step 1, where you're at now. And so the only way your content and your videos are going to get better is if you just do it and you start learning. I always just like to say it's basically like riding a bicycle. Nobody really jumps on a bike and cruises down the hugest hill in the neighborhood. It takes a little time. It takes a little falling off. It takes some practice until you're finally there. So just get started.
And where can people start getting started? Like, where do you have some resources? I know you do, that are super, super, super helpful for people. So where can people find those?
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube. So if you just go to TrenaLittle.com/YouTube, you'll see an array of video content. And I have some of it broken down by series as well. And we just finished wrapping up a brand new freebie called the Video Multiplier Effect. And so it was very interesting for you to learn how to take this piece of content and multiply it. It's actually the Video Multiplier Roadmap, where I walk you through all the ways to repurpose one video. And then I give you a little cheat sheet inside of there for all the dimensions for all the different social platforms. So you can start creating your templates in whatever editing software that you have and start churning out your videos for all of the platforms.
And you guys, you know that I will link all of this free goodies to everywhere we post this episode. So just make sure that you scroll down and you find all these links. I'll also make sure that I link Trena so that you guys can reach out to her if you have any very specific questions about YouTube. Trena, you are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Legal Paige podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. See, I told you being legally legit isn't so scary. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for all show notes. And it would be super awesome if you could head over to iTunes and leave a review. Last but not least, don't forget to join my free Facebook group for unlimited legal and biz Q&A. Chat soon, Legal Pagers.